Tatsalach, Inwina Kissa, Ipelik Hilim Kawat. My name is Nikhil Williamson. Today we stand here on the ancient trail system, known by generations of Nimipu as Kusay Nu Iskit. Behind me are the ancient rock cairns that have existed here for untold generations. For thousands of years, the Nimipu or Nez Perce have utilized these very trail systems to access the plains for a variety of purposes. Their spirits are still here on sacred ground. Ipskilank Hautnin Watispa, walking on sacred ground. Our ancestors who have walked this sacred ground passed down many stories about the trail. To keep the stories of our shared past alive for future generations, it is vital to all who visit here to protect this sacred land and the sites that this ancient trail holds within.
It's such a important connection to the East. When we sing our songs, we always face to the East. And that trail goes directly east from where we are. And that's where they went to gather and also to get this buffalo and buffalo hides, and then trading for bitter root. Our people would take other kind of goods over there, like other kind of foods, that is, like kamas and cows, that was something that they don't have.
The Lolo Trail is very important, I think, because it is the oldest. It's the oldest highway, because that's the way the Nez Perces come. That's the way the Flatheads come down into Kamia, because they traded and they were more or less related.
Most of the sites here date back at least 10,000 years. There's evidence of them going across the trail prior to the acquisition of the horse, which was right around 1730 AD. At that time, they were walking up into the mountains and onto the trail, and they were also using pack dogs to pack some of their items. Of course, when the horse came around, it was much more easier than for them to transport a number of items across the trail, and it really opened up a whole new era in this trade network that was taking place between the Pacific Ocean and into the plains, as well as down into California. But the Nez Perce at that time became known as the tradesmen of the plateau because they were moving so many trade items back and forth across this trail.
This ancient travel and trade corridor is a direct link to our shared past and is essential to our future.
That trail, because in it was life. It was commerce. It was power, which made the Nez Perce people very influential. They made the Nez Perce people one of the strongest tribes here in the plateau area. And other tribes knew that.
The Nez Perce were known to go as far as the Pacific Ocean, and they were trading for items that they didn't have in their immediate vicinity, such as seashells. So they were trading for a variety of different ornamental shells they were using for decorations on their traditional outfits. So they were trading for like abalone shell, cowrie shells, dentalia, and they would move all those kinds of items, including pemmican, which wasn't to the east, along with huckleberries, dried salmon. Some of the things the Nez Perce were well known for, like their corn husk fez hats, their wallets, also their sheep horn bows, as well as sheep horn ladles and spoons and drinking horns. So all of the items that wasn't common on the plains, as well as exchanging cultural ideas. When Lewis and Clark came across the Bitterroots and the Lolo Trail system in 1805, they were on the Nez Perce Trail. And so what they saw was an established trail that led them across these mountains into the Weippe Prairie. And of course, it's the same trail that they use on their eastward journey in 1806. And the trail also is really a landscape of history, because there's a number of threads that weave through this colorful fabric. We've just touched on a few of those with the use of the trail by the Nez Perce, the early explorers of Lewis and Clark, but there's been many more people that's gone over the trail. It's been typically a highway for people, for miners, early trappers, missionaries, railroad route surveys. There's just so much history up there.
The Lolo Trail corridor system is a landscape of history with a complex trail network. This includes the ancient Nimipu Trail, or Lolo Trail, the Lewis and Clark Trail, the Nez Perce Nimipu National Historic Trail, the Lolo Motorway, Forest Road 500, and Lewis and Clark Highway 12. This ancient trail is a special place to the Nimipu. The spirit of our ancestors can be felt here.
Well, it has a lot of meaning for our people for a long period of time, not only to travel eastward over the mountains, but as a means of friendship with other tribes on the other side of the mountain.
The mountains seem to, get you in touch with not only the land, but it just seems to be the place that, you don't have fences or houses or television or newspaper. It just seems to help bring you back to that time when things were probably a lot less complicated.
It makes you glad you're Nez Perce when you look at that stuff. That's the way I always felt, that, gee, this is really like it's sacred ground, because you look at all of that beautiful scenery, and the tribe has always lived there, and they've had an opportunity to live and enjoy that land.
Smoking place and Indian post office are still sacred to the Nimipu. It is our shared responsibility to leave the resources here intact.
This place called the Indian Post Office. That's an important spot, a place where the people were used to go, and they'd leave something that they knew that, like I would leave, like something like this here, and that was a signal or a message that I'm already I'm ahead of you. So most of the time they could tell by whatever you left there that you was already up in front of them.
They used it as a marker to be sure that they're on the right trail. And most of the time, every time a band went through, they'd put rocks there. And then somebody else would come and put more rocks there, till finally they got that up quite high. And I've seen people to go there and pray. They'd take off their hat and stand there and pray.
You can go up there, you can feel the strength and the power, and you can feel the generosity of the Creator. You can hear the birds in the trees. You can see the animals moving to and fro. When you see a lightning storm in the Kasena Iskit, or even the thunder, it just sounds so loud, it sounds so beautiful. You can feel that power.
Lewis and Clark, on their return journey in 1806, were guided by the Nez Perce across the Bitterroot Mountains.
Lewis and Clark, according to the journals, was quite amazed about the Nez Perce knowing the way. They came up there to the smoking place, and the men wanted to stop. Lewis wanted to continue. The Nez Perce would not go any further. They all stopped right there and said, no, we're going to stay here. We must smoke. They pulled out their pipes, and they smoked at that location there. And once that was done, they moved on.
Visitors to this area think that taking one rock will not affect the site, but it is this manner of thinking that has changed the cairns over the years.
We are afraid of some of the things that happen already, like in Smoking Place. Some of the destruction that took place there, of the rock cairns have been destroyed. That was a tragedy upon itself. What can we do? This is something that I think all of us must consider.
This callous act of rock cairn vandalism forever damaged an important Nimipu spiritual site, noted and shared by Lewis and Clark in 1806. Sites and artifacts on public lands are protected by federal, state, and local law. If you discover such remains, leave them as they were. If you observe people collecting artifacts, removing cairn rocks, or damaging resources, contact your nearest Forest Service ranger. Allow the next traveler the same experience of discovery. Fragile meadows on the trail, such as Musselshell, where the Nimipu met Lewis and Clark, and Wheatus, where both the Nimipu and General Howard camped during the 1877 war, have significant history tied to them. We must protect these cultural sites that tell our American story. With the coming of the white men, the Kusenu Iskit became a main road for travel and commerce for trappers, miners, and settlers. Along with these incursions came the treaties that divided our land and our people. This resulted in the Nimipu flight to freedom in 1877.
This was a village on a move. You're looking at 700 plus people, maybe 2,000 head of horses, just trying to get away from the soldiers, trying to go find freedom, to find peace.
When they decided to escape the army, they decided to go over into Montana and took usual routes, the Lolo Trail, over into Buffalo Country. And as events progressed, their journey, they thought they were getting away from the army, leaving General Howard behind in Idaho country. And of course we had some skirmishes here in Idaho, a battle beginning in June 17th at Whitebird, and then Clearwater, and then things, they seemed to think everything was left behind when they went into Montana. And then we had a big tragic event when Colonel Gibbon's forces attacked the camp when the Nez Perce people were camped at Big Hole. And from there they realized that they didn't leave the army behind. So all of this, the events, just in their trek and trying to get away from the army, created what we know now as the Nimipu Trail, the Nez Perce Trail.
The 1,170-mile flight of the Nimipu ended with a flag of truce at Bear Paw, Montana on October 5, 1877. Several Nimipu escaped to Canada, and the 418 Nimipu who expected to return to Idaho were exiled in Oklahoma for 7.5 years, where 150 Nimipu died. Memorials are held each year at the major battle sites of the Nez Perce War of 1877.
Just making the connection, we want to become united. That's our way to do it. I think we've done pretty good because them circles are getting bigger every year.
Many Nimipu still use this ancient trail, carrying on the traditions that our ancestors taught us and fought for us to have.
Tribal members are still using the trail as they did for thousands of years and generations. People still are going up there to hunt, they're going to fish, people are still going up there to pick huckleberries, to gather medicines, to dig roots. All of the things that they did years ago in what's considered nature's supermarket is still what's being practiced by Nez Perce people today.
Of course, we welcome anybody that comes into the region, but at the same time, it is a pristine area and it should remain that way.
Fragile meadow and high mountain environments along the Lolo Trail are easily damaged by people, animals, and vehicles. Keep all motorized vehicles and bicycles off of National Historic Trails where only non-motorized trail use is allowed. Avoid building new rock rings to contain campfires. Toilets are few and far between. Dispose of human waste properly and away from any water source. Leave no trace of your visit and take no mementos. Instead, only take photographs and your memories with you. Respect what you discover as you walk on this land, and together we will preserve these important areas for future generations.
It's like walking on sacred ground.